what do we do about our actual URLs, right? That whole string in your web search bar. Because my URLs don't really look like big competitors in my industry. Now that we got some articles on the website, I've started to think about it, and I've started to implement my own initial test, right? We had about 20 articles on the site. We've added probably about 10 more. I've adjusted the URL structure for those next 10. It's not going to be the cleanest A/B test or the cleanest one-to-one test, but maybe we learned something. Maybe we learned that, hey, shorter URLs are actually more favorable. But it posed a bigger question to me and said, hey, what's really the best practice here? What should we be doing? Get right in. These are the category pages that I was referencing, right? Gift ideas for him, for her, for kids, and then occasions. And you can see URL structure as I enter into each of these fields, right? This now becomes /gift ideas. And then when I click on this newest article, it's just the keyword. It's just bachelor party gift ideas. So it's only boom, 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 rather than, this is what my first articles look like. Boom, 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 boom. 29 best 80th birthday gift ideas, senior elderly gifts. As you can see, it was just the actual title of the article. I didn't bother to change what they would call a URL slug up here, right? I just left it as it was. But now let me show you how some of my competitors do it. So Dodo Bird, this is an article for Christmas gifts that don't suck. Look at their URL, right? It's just dodobird.com and then cool Christmas gifts that don't suck. Probably their keyword, right? All right, so what they have is, this is their category, Christmas gifts. Do you see this? And you can see it in my very bottom left as well. It's dodobird.com/Christmas gifts. But then this article should live in here. This is their category page. The thing is, Dodobird has so much content. They got 1,000 articles that they then have subcategories. So they got enough articles that they can fill up Easter gifts, Father's Day gifts, Mother's Day gifts. We haven't even written an article about those yet. So there's no way we can build out this same structure as they have. But the thing is, we still have this category page in our URL, right? You see it up here called gift ideas? And then you look at theirs and they don't, right? It would be like if we did this. That's what their URL would look like on our website. So we got to find out why the heck they're doing that, other than the fact that it makes it shorter. Technically, your keyword is more is closer to the beginning, right? I'm sure those are some of the arguments. I'm sure it looks nicer, like when somebody links it, right? Rather than seeing, you've seen those links that you've sent from websites before where they're like, and you've sent them on mobile, you've shared them, and they're like 500 characters long and it eats up your whole text message display. Like, yeah, clearly we don't want to have a URL like that. The question is this effectively doing anything for their SEO? And if so, how do we also do that for our website? So for me, it is a question of, well, what are we not doing on the URL structure that is going to be the most advantageous for SEO? All right, so keywords in the URL, yes. So you want this page to be discovered by the right people and crawlers, right? The Google bots out there that are crawling your page every day or every week. All right, so they say, and this is what I had assumed, right? This is going to be one of the big selling points, is you should have your keyword as close to the root domain as possible. So let's go back to my example. Here's my root domain, thegifyak.com. Here is the keyword. This structure has it as close as possible, but here is the real structure. You see I have that gift ideas between it. So should we be worried about that? So build a sound structure for the future. Yes, everything we're doing needs to be, as of today, best practice, right? As best practice as we can, if we think that it's going to provide value, because that's how we're gonna build that foundation, and then we're gonna expand it, and then we're gonna duplicate it into other industries. This is the truth, by the way. So this article is saying basically that websites over the years become a patchwork web of different fixes for what is quote unquote the best practice of the day. And that's true. I mean, working in a marketing agency, you get the luxury of seeing a lot of websites. Now, we generally worked with high growth technology startups in Silicon Valley. So generally those folks are, one, their business is generally newer. Two, they have a decent sense of kind of best practices and kind of how to hack some growth together early on. So it was less an issue with those. I definitely saw legacy companies, though, that ran into this issue where it was just like, after 10 years, so much has changed. People have come in, people have come out, direction has changed, products have changed, offering services have changed. They've acquired different websites, and it just becomes a maze and you're scratching your head. All right, so avoid keyword repetition within URLs. So adding the same keyword multiple times in hopes of increasing your ranking will only lead to spammy URL structure. And their example is, all right, so they have category is whiskey, subcategory is Irish whiskey, product category is Jameson Irish whiskey, last category is the history of Irish whiskey, Jameson Irish whiskey. And then they also say remove ands and thus. So we might have an issue with ours then, right? So let's go back to ours. I'm going to go back to one of our first articles. So what do we have? We have gift ideas as our subcategory, or as our category. And then in our keyword, we actually have gift idea as well. So question is, does that look spammy? The other piece is we also include 29 best, and we have the senior elderly gift. Why does the URL matter for SEO? And it's all about user experience. So you just want to be able to tell a person or a crawler exactly what your page is about, what they're going to get from visiting your website. And in this example, they're saying, hey, even if this blue title didn't exist, just by the yellow URL here, you would know what this page is about. It's a review for a Canon EOS 6D. And then they say, listen, keywords in your URL can improve your site's search visibility, but they generally do not have a major impact on the page's ability to rank, which was my understanding going into this. Yes, URLs matter so far as you kind of set up that initial framework, but it's not going to be the thing that scales our business. Rand is saying that shorter URLs are better than longer. So generally speaking, are more preferable. You don't need to take this to the extreme. And if your URL is already less than 50 to 60 characters, don't worry about it at all. But if you have something that's pushing 100 characters, there's probably opportunity to rewrite them and gain value. This isn't a direct problem with Google or Bing. The search engines can process long URLs without much trouble. The issue instead lies with the usability and user experience. Shorter URLs are easy to parse, to copy and paste, and to share on social media and to embed. So match URLs to the titles most of the time. That's what we've been doing, but that also creates longer URLs. So they're mismatched. That's why we've also tried condensing some of our URLs. And then this is the other question, right? So really the only two questions that I have remaining are, is my new URL length good? And then two, is our folder setup good? So the example I have again is how DodoBird does not include their category folder up here, whereas we do. It's called gift ideas. All right, so this is a topic exactly on what we're talking about, where they have the domain and then a directory or category or folder, whatever you want to call it, and then the actual blog post. They're saying stick with the category structure. All right, so this 4-year-old article tells me that we should stick with what we got. Wow, this is actually from 8 days ago. It's pretty relevant. All right, category plus post name, that's what we use. That is what we use versus post name only. Duh. Why wasn't I calling it that before? Like most things, it depends, which is not the greatest answer. This person says, if you want to change it, so like we started with category / post name, if you want to change it, you can just 301 redirect, but it will not help you much, if at all, in rankings. Again, it sounds like it's kind of sits in the middle. Like some people say it's fine to go with either. Some lean a little bit more towards just post names. I think I'm going to stick with what I got. I am going to start doing the shorter truncated versions of my keyword in the URL, but I'm going to keep my categories. So I'm going to keep where it says / gift ideas / whatever the article name is. I'm going to keep that gift ideas in there. However, you don't need to, right? Maybe you decide you think it looks cleaner. You just go into WordPress where we looked at the settings and just remove that % category %. If you remove that, that would strip it out and your pages would just be tied to the post name then. And it sounds like it is maybe slightly favored versus the strategy I'm doing, but I don't know how much actual SEO value you will end up getting out of that, just to be quite frank. And then the other piece is just the length of the URL. I think there is some consideration there where I do have a category page it's actually called occasions and categories. It's in my menu bar. And that might be too long, like a lot of characters. So you might want to consider the length of your menu items as well. I'm not going to change it because it's kind of baked out and I don't want to redirect any of those articles we've already written. But maybe you want to keep that to just one word, or maybe just not as big of words, right? Occasions and categories is a lot of characters, probably like 20 characters. So some things to consider, right? And you probably haven't thought about URL structure as much. Hopefully it gets you thinking about other players in your industry and looking at how they do it, right? You go to their homepage, you go to one of their category or menu pages, and then you go into one of the articles and you'll get to see exactly what they're doing. Are they nesting it within the category, or are they just directing it to the post? Pushing on, we got a lot of topics to cover, especially in January when we're going to start doing some paid advertising. So look forward to seeing you. Bye-bye.